Okay, hello everybody. This is the Sights and Sounds of Earth. My name's Ian. I'm getting everything situated here so that I can see the chat room. All right, good afternoon, good evening, hello, depending on where you are in the world. This is live coverage of what's going on around the world tonight. We are putting up images of protesting that's going on right now in Portland, Oregon, and also Charlotte, North Carolina. And some of the videos are starting to duplicate up, but I'm trying to find as many different views as I can. There's a lot of bird flicking. I don't know why, but that seems to be the thing today. The proverbial flying of the bird. Okay. All right, so what we've got, like I said, this is going on in Charlotte. I'm working on getting some more information about exactly what's going on in Charlotte. But there is definitely a protest going on. Yep, and by the way, the motion that was pushed through to release the Epstein files has been signed into law by Donald Trump. So that's going to happen now. They're going to finally release those records, and maybe I still don't think they're going to release them all. But maybe we'll get a little more idea as to why they're so secretive. Why they're so secretive that when anybody finds out about them, all of a sudden they vapor lock up and don't talk no more. It's kind of a strange thing. All right, let's see here. Make sure my camera's on and make sure my mic is on. All right, everything looks good there. Hey, Victor. Hey, Heath. Hey, Ebony. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming in tonight. This is Starship Adventures, the sights and sounds of Earth, right here on Starship Adventures. And I will say tonight is going to be probably, an average night. We've got some things going on. We've got the 3-Eye Atlas images in from NASA. And I'm not one of these broadcasters that's going to hype you up and hype you up and hype you up and then show you a pile of shit at the end of the show. So in the spirit of that, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't expect to see much, but we're going to go through the pictures. As typical with NASA, it took them over a month to release these pictures. Why? Why? I want to know why. They should be released in real time. What, are we going to see FBI secrets up there? What, is there a chance that there's going to be, the Epstein files up there? I mean, is there a chance that these satellites are going to send back some secret Russian information or something? I mean, what would the reason be that images taken of 3-Eye Atlas from a NASA mission around Mars would take 30, 40 days to be released to the public? Why? Why? There is no answer. They won't tell us. Well, that's just the way we do things. Horse shit. All right? I call horse shit on that. And I'm sure some of them are going to say, oh, it was because of the government shutdown. No, they always do this. No, thank you. They always do this. And I don't know why. There couldn't possibly be state secrets in there. What they got to do is make sure it's scrubbed of anything extraterrestrial, extratemporal, extra whatever, extraordinary, anything extraordinary, anything that would prove what they've been saying all along wrong. They're just not going to release it. When they release big swaths of moon prints, there's always some missing. They never release full sets of images. Lone silencer, in this case, I don't know. I think they just blurred everything out so you can't see nothing. These images suck. They made a big deal about how this spacecraft has got this amazing camera that can like see in your mama's bedroom, and all this stuff, and the images from this, it's nothing. It's nothing that you're going to glean much information off of. Now, scientists that are used to looking at these pictures and have studied what these wavelengths of light mean, and they're using spectrometers and things like this on the, yes, I'm sure they can glean some fairly cool information off this. But for the rest of us, there's not really much here, and we're going to be going through that here in just a few minutes. Also tonight, we are watching some strong to severe weather right now moving its way from northern Texas here up north central Texas, I should say, Abilene, moving up through Jacksboro and Wichita Falls as it's coming into Oklahoma City. And also we've got several cells now moving out into Norman, Oklahoma, and also passing off southeast of Oklahoma City. Now, these are lone cells. That can be kind of dangerous. When you get lone cells like this, they can produce tornadoes. They do not have a specific tornado warning or watch out right now, but we are watching. This area is inside the marginal risk circle here. See the green circle? So they are expecting some higher than normal chances here of some bad weather. So we're just going to keep an eye on this tonight. There's really not much going on anywhere else. There's just those 4 advisories that you see right there. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's not even really any cameras right out in front of these. I'll put this one down here. There's a cell going to be coming over there in a little while. All right, so that's what we have right now. So we're going to be continuing to watch that. And there's something else I want to talk about with amateur radio folks tonight. Just a quickie. I want to mention someone put a comment, and I love comments. I love when I get comments because it lets me know, what other people are thinking about the shows and how I can make them, to where they work a little bit better. What do you mean connection lost? Jeez, what's up with that? Jeez, eat it. All right. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about all that in just a few minutes. Okay, in my comments, someone brought up that they use RT systems to program their radios, and I want to just mention for just a few minutes here, I want to talk briefly about RT systems, okay? Is it bad? I'm not going to say that. Is it a scam? Oh, God, I don't want to go that far either. But what I am going to say is RT systems is completely unnecessary. You know what I mean? It's almost like your car comes with free floor mats, but you rip them out and put other floor mats in because, somebody told you they were a little better. Here's the problem. They're all floor mats. They all work just fine. And the same thing here with RT Systems. What RT Systems does, and you can look it up, their website, it's rtsystemsinc.com. rtsystemsinc.com. I'm not telling you not to buy their stuff or use their services. I'm just telling you that I don't think their stuff's necessary. Someone told me that every time I buy a radio, I buy the RT Systems cable and program. Well, that means you're spending $50 or $60 every radio to buy a program that only works with that one radio and a cable that only works with that one radio. The reason they do that is because they're trying to sucker you into buying more cables and more software. First of all, the software is free. Chirp will program all the radios. Okay? Now, whether you want to use Chirp on your Yaesu and ICOM radios, that's up to you. I've got mixed bag on that. But when it comes to Chinese radios, Chirp works every time. It's tried and true. And it's free. And so I just wanted to mention to everybody tonight that don't go down the RT Systems rabbit hole, okay? They make custom software and custom cables, and I'm sure their stuff works great. I've never heard anyone complain about the products. It's just the fact that you don't need to spend the money. You don't need to have a separate programmer and a separate cable for every single radio that you have. I have 17 different radios. I couldn't imagine having 17 different programs. Here's the other thing. With Chirp, all the stuff's already in there. All the programming's in there. All the frequencies are in there. It can pull down every frequency in every town, in all over the world, all everywhere, and put it right into your radio for you. Why would you go buy something that you have to manually program? It doesn't make sense. So I'm just a word to the wise out there. Before you spend money with RT Systems, just buy a radio. First of all, if you're going to buy, let's say you're going to buy a UV25, go on there if you're Prime and click the Prime button. Then go down and find one that is within $5 of that price, because if you notice, they'll all be 52, 53, 55, 51, 52. They're all in that same $5 or $10 range. Go down until you find one that comes with the programming cable. That programming cable will work with almost every Balkh. And you can get one free with your radio if you get the right radio. If you look really good in those radios, sometimes you can find one that comes with 2 or 3 different antennas, maybe a spare battery, maybe a spare, comes with a charging cable. Some come with a charging base and the cable and the USB cable. So look through them. Most of them all come with the earpiece. It's a fairly cheap earpiece, but it will get you through a jam. So when you go to buy your cheap Chinese radio, and I say cheap, well, your inexpensive Chinese radio, buy one that comes with the programming cable, and then you're all set, okay? And then just download Chirp, and now you've done the whole thing for free. The whole thing didn't cost you nothing, and now you can program all your radios. And once you set up your standard program list, you can then now go easily copy and paste that into all your code plugs for all your different radios. All right, so that's all I just wanted to say. That, guys, don't spend a lot of money on RT Systems. If you have a radio that's a Yaesu or an ICOM or something, you might want to get the RT Systems. There's nothing wrong. Their stuff does work fine. It's just in a lot of cases it's not necessary. That's all I'm saying. And so if you just bought a bunch of Chinese radios, get one with a programming cable, use that programming cable with Chirp, and you'll be all set. If you are going to program a $1,200 Yaesu radio, I'd go with RT Systems. I think I trust what they do. I've heard good things about. I've never heard somebody say they bought an RT Systems setup and it didn't work. So for more expensive equipment, it's probably worth the $50 to get something that's custom made for your radio, with a cable and everything that's custom made. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But please don't, every time you buy a new Balkh to check it out, don't spend $60 buying a dedicated program. All they're doing is taking the same program and just rigging it to where it only works with one kind of radio and then selling it to you. It kind of sucks when you think about it, because it's all the same programming. There's only 10 different programs for all these radios, and there's only 2 or 3, 4 different cables for all these radios. So you don't need to have, you don't need to have a drawer full of cables and plugs and programs and all this bullshit, when all you really just need is Chirp running on a Windows machine or whatever you're running it on. It'll run on Linux, it'll run on Android, it'll run on Apple bullshit. So just put it in there and use it. I just wanted to put that out there, guys. Don't spend a lot of money with RT Systems. unless you're buying it for more expensive radios. Okay, there we go. That's what I've got. Anybody have any questions on that? Hello, everybody. Junior, Red, hello. BJ, welcome back. Junior, I think I've already said hi. SMCR, thank you for coming back. And Paul Damon, thank you for being here. He's Damon. Let's see, the Lone Silencer, I said hi to. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. We're going to go through those NASA photos here in just a few minutes. That's just great. I hate when they go off and then it defaults to this idiot moron. Why would it do that? I mean, I don't like that guy. Never watch his show. I think he's an absolute show for the left. I don't know why he would be the one that defaults, that comes on. I don't understand that. I just don't understand that. But it looks like these protests are breaking up. We're getting a lot of duplication now. There is something going on in this town meeting. Let me see if I can get us some audio on this. What's going on?
What up, Passion John? I love you guys. He said you had to do it 45 minutes before it started.
Okay, so really somebody's talking here. I can't really hear what they're saying with all the echoes, so we're just going to let that go for right now. We're going to keep an eye on it, though. We will definitely keep an eye on it. Tonight on Coast to Coast, after this show, Coast to Coast on 600 radio stations across the country, and you can also listen to it on my radio station on TuneIn. But the first half, they're doing Global Thoughts Leader. We'll discuss how throughout history humanity has repeatedly made significant advancements in knowledge only to lose it and rediscover it centuries later. And that's an interesting topic, because I know that we are not only are we not the first intelligent spin-up of humans, but we're not the first technological spin-up of humans. I tend to believe that when they built the pyramids, they had technology that was even higher than ours. And all that technology's gone now, because you know what? There's a 1946 Etzel sitting up in the woods behind my cabin, way back in the woods, and it's been sitting back there for probably about 50 years. Okay, and the body's completely gone. The glass is still left, most of the glass, but it's all weird, and the engine block is still there. The two frame rails are still there, and the pumpkin in the back is still there. Almost everything else is completely gone in 50 years. So what would be left after 2,000 years? There wouldn't even be a rust spot left after 2,000 years. So I mean, the pyramids were obviously built with technology, and I think they were built for technology. So it's an interesting phenomenon here that I think that we had a technological spin up. Something happened. We got pushed back into the Stone Ages. 2,000 years go by, and we developed computer technology yet again. I know this is crazy, but it really does match a lot of what we see. Like, why is there wire chases and stuff like that inside the pyramids? You know, why? There's a lot of things we can't explain. You can look at the hieroglyphs and you can see aliens. I mean, we know that there's been a lot that's happened on this earth. We're not the first time intelligent life is spun up here, and probably not the second, not the third, not the fourth. And so that's going to be a neat topic tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern on Coast to Coast with George Norrie. Second half is going to be exoconsciousness, supporting co-creation between human and off-planet extraterrestrial intelligences. She advocates for the advancement and preservation of natural human consciousness and free will as we move into the technological future. So that sounds like it's going to be a deep ass show tonight. So that's 1 o'clock, 1 to 5, on over 600 stations nationwide, including my station 92.5. Yeah, I don't know exactly why why the pyramids are built like that, but I personally believe they were built for a purpose, not to worship somebody in death. I do not believe that. I haven't never believed that. Those pyramids took years and years and decades and decades and decades to build. People do not continue to mourn somebody and build a thing for them for decades after they're dead. Normally, it's not really within our nature. And when you really look at it, there was obviously a reason they were building it. They're very specific about how they built them. The measurements are perfect. The surfaces are perfect. Obviously built by machines. Well, I miss Art Bell as well, but George Norrie is perfectly fine. Yeah, so I the pyramids are a fun study, and we can talk about this more one night when there's not as much other stuff going on. But definitely a fun study when it comes to all that kind of stuff. I just want to say, if you want to listen to Coast AM at home on your computer or wherever you are, you can pop in my radio station there. That's where I work. I'm on from 5 to 8 Eastern there. And then I come here and do this show from 9 to 11 Eastern. So you guys can listen to me there too if you want. I'm the producer of the show, and I do talk quite a bit on the air. Yeah, BJ, it's kind of an illusion. I'm going to tell you something you're probably not going to believe me, and that's okay. We're playing the exact same number of commercials we paid 30 years ago. Well, okay, 20 years ago. Let me go 20, because before that I'm not sure. But I know that the show clocks that I've seen go all the way back to 2006, I think, 2006, and it's the exact same amount of minutes in commercial as we do today. It just seems like more. And I'll tell you why it seems like more. Because now, this is sponsored by, that is sponsored by, this next break is this and that. We've added a lot of bullshit like that. But the actual amount of show hasn't changed more than 20 or 30 seconds in the last 20 years. It's just simply the ads have gotten more obnoxious. We've all gotten a little less tolerant to them. Face it, if you watch something all the time that's ad-free, and then you want to go listen to Coast Tonight on my channel, it's going to suck for you, because it's going to be like, oh my God, these commercials. What you have to do, Coast to Coast has a weird format. I say this a lot because it's important. They have a format. At about 11 minutes after the top of the hour, they come back from their first and second break. They take their first break, they tease, give out the phone numbers, play a long bumper song, and then they go right back in the break again. And then at about 12 minutes after the top of the hour, they come out of break, and it goes dun dun, dun dun. When you hear that, that's the beginning of that half of that hour. You then get 20 minutes, okay? You get literally 19 minutes right there of George Norrie and Coast to Coast. And he will bring the guest right on, and they'll talk. And then they go into the bottom of the hour at 30:30. You get the 30:30 news, which is from Fox or wherever your station is. If it's a CBS affiliate, it would be the CBS News, whatever. That happens at the bottom of the hour. And then you'll have two minutes of local commercials, 2 minutes of network commercials, and then Coast to Coast will come back on the air at 34. And then from 34 to 36, he comes on and says, okay, we're back. I'm George Norrie. Our call-in number is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This hour we're talking to so-and-so about so-and-so. We'll be right back. And then he goes right back into 2 minutes of their commercials. And then he plays his 2 commercials, which usually one of them is a live read from George. They'll play their 2 commercials. That pays for Coast. So 2 commercials for the radio station, 2 commercials for the network, and 2 commercials for Coast to Coast. And then at about 40-ish, the show comes back on. Dun, 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 dun. Show comes back on. And then you get 19 or so minutes of direct show, of commercial, no commercial show for over 19 minutes. The reason this is important is because a lot of people work night shifts, and a lot of people do different things at night. And a lot of people have, they sit up all night because they can't sleep or whatever. Understand this format, because at 1:59, when he goes to commercial and you hear the bumper music, turn on a YouTube video. And you can play that video for 10 or 12 minutes until you hear the show, dun dun, dun dun, coming back on again. That's what I used to do. I used to literally plan things during that 10 minutes. So from the top of the hour to 10 minutes after, and from the bottom of the hour to 40, they're in this intensive commercial break, basically. And then you get those 2 almost 20-minute segments of radio. So it's a weird format. But I tell people this because, like, when I used to work night shift, I've done everything from a police officer at night, a firefighter working out at night, a security guard, a taxi driver, a record driver. I've done a little bit of everything in my life. I was able, a lot of my different jobs, I was able to plan things around those talk segments. So if I was going to wash my car, I would plan on getting to the car wash right about the top of the hour. And then I had 10 or 12 minutes to get my car done. And then when I got back in the car, dun dun, they were coming back on. And then I could drive 20 minutes to my next account or whatever. And I used to plan my night. Same thing working security. You plan your rounds around listening to Coast. So it's pretty cool. I think it's neat. Okay, yeah, BJ, trust me, they seem like they're a lot longer to me too. If I didn't work there and actually program the station, I would think I'm nuts too. But no, it's actually true, believe it or not. We're playing the same amount of commercials that we've been playing for years, for many, many years. TV. Let me tell you where TV's at right now, because we've seen a little more of this on TV than we have on radio. TV, when Star Trek was released in 1966, 67, 68, 69, when it was on the air during those 4 years, the 3 seasons, when it was on the air, the episodes were 54 minutes long. 54 minutes long. There was 4 commercial breaks. They were a couple minutes apiece. And I think, but anyway, including everything, it was 52 to 54 minutes. That slowly has come down now. We're at about 41 minutes per hour of television. 40 to 41 minutes. So in other words, if we're going to take the episode The Doomsday Machine from the original Star Trek, the best episode ever, if we were to take that episode, which runs for 54 and a half minutes or whatever, if we were to take that and air it today on network television, we would have to cut 12 or 13 minutes out of that episode. And so when you go back and watch it today, you have to see which episode you end up with. Most of the remastered ones are the full length, but there's a bunch of B-roll of Commodore Decker running through the bowels of the ship with a phaser and going down to the shuttle bay and running out in the shuttle bay and all this. All that got cut out in the 70s and the 80s. As we needed shorter and shorter and shorter shows, they started shaving out all of these B-roll segments. They even started cutting out some of the extra space shots and stuff. It really sucked. Now I go back and I find a full 54 or 53 minute 54-minute sometimes version of it, and go back and watch it. It's amazing all the different scenes that got cut out over the years to keep it to where it would run in a hour. You call your ex-wife the Doomsday Machine. Yep, because you fire phasers and it just bounces off. Anyway, all right, so yeah, I get that subtly. I've known a few Doomsday Machines. The civilization died years ago, but the machine just keeps on killing. Okay, so let's move on here. The next thing I want to talk about, we're going to keep an eye on this weather. There you go. I love a rewatch. Take your gummies, do your rewatch. That's good. I love it. Yeah, do them in order too. Some of them are not so good. I hate to say it, there's 5 episodes of the original series that I actually skip. Plato's Stepchildren. Can't stand that episode. I can't stand that episode. The hippie episode, I almost can't stand the hippie episode. Hey, man. But most of them are good. Anyway, okay, so let's go. I want to talk a little bit about this NASA imagery, guys. I don't want to sound disappointed, but man, I'm kind of disappointed. They hyped it. They made it sound like we were going to get some like really good images out of this damn thing, and I just don't see it, dude. I really don't. I'm kind of pissed now because I didn't hype it. I actually told you guys I didn't think we were going to get huge high-res pictures or anything just because of the sheer distance we were. If you remember, I was telling you guys that even though it kind of came close to Mars, it was still quite a distance, and it's going to make its closest pass to us here in the next couple weeks, but it's going to be an amazing distance once again. Okay, so here we go. This is it. This is the NASA Photo Images website that they've got on here. Below is a variety of images and videos of the Interstellar Comet 3I Atlas as observed by NASA missions. Click through for more information and to view and download. Now, let's go through some of these, and I want you guys to count the shit. What I mean by that is I want you to count how many times they poo-poo everything. Remember I told you NASA scientists, all right, they're going to always tell you it's not aliens. You know why? Because the one time it's aliens, they're going to kill us all anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're literally going to tell you it's always bullshit. And then if the real aliens do come, it won't matter. It won't matter if they were right or wrong. And that's literally the way they look at it. So they're going to tell you everything no matter what. They could come across a Volkswagen on Mars and they're going to say, oh, look, it's a Martian rock that looks like a Volkswagen. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of these. These came from the SHOHO mission. SHOHO is the solar observatory that we have out there. It's a spacecraft. These faint images of Comet 3I Atlas as observed by NASA's SHOHO mission between October 15th and October 26th. The comet appears to be it appears as a slight brightening in the center of the image. Wow, that image tells me so much, doesn't it? I mean, you guys look at that. Wow, what do you think? I think I can see people waving from the windows. Can you guys see that? Yeah, BJ, I'm not sure of that because shots from here through our atmosphere are barely even possible at this point. So I'm not sure. This thing's way far away. It's been behind the sun. It's still not in a good position. It will get closer and we will be able to backyard photograph it eventually. But we're not going to get anything more than what we're seeing here. Because I'm telling you guys, this thing is just too far away. It's too dark. This thing's the size of a skyscraper or a football field or whatever. Okay, so it's big. But its closest pass to us, it's going to be 1.5 times the distance between here and the sun. It's going to be way far away. And so it's almost like saying, well, it's the size of a marble. Certainly you can photograph a marble, okay? But you got to photograph the marble from 40,000 feet. What are you going to see? Nothing. Nothing. Or maybe a slight discoloration where the marble is sitting. But that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how big the object is. It matters how much distance is between the lens and the object. And that's where we have the problem. All right, so there's this one here. These are from the Shoho spacecraft. This is another one here. This is from the Shoho spacecraft. Also, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Oh, that moves it further away. There we go. Okay, and so there we go. This one, the comet appears as slightly brightening in the center of the image. Yeah, I see that. I'm glad they told me it was the bright thing in the middle of the image. I'm glad they told me that. Okay, this is from Maven. Maven sees the 3i Atlas halo. This message shows the halo of gas and dust. This image shows the halo of gas and dust, or coma, surrounding the comet. The image was taken on October 9th by an instrument on board NASA's Maven spacecraft, which has been studying Mars from its orbit since 2014. The instrument, the Image Ultraviolet Spectrograph, takes pictures in an ultraviolet part of the spectrum to reveal the chemical composition of objects. The center of the image has the brightest pixel, indicating where the comet is. The next brightest shades in the image indicate areas where the instrument detected atoms of hydrogen coming from the comet. The hydrogen is released when the sunlight heats the comet, causing the water and ice to turn directly to vapor. Remember, that's that subluxation we've been talking about. Once released into space, the water molecules break apart into oxygen and hydrogen atoms, which is what our bodies would do if we were left out there. All right, so there you go. Can you guys see it? See, there it is. There it is right there. That's cool. All right, so let's look at the next ones here. Perseverance. Perseverance paused from its exploration of Mars and used its mast cam to take a picture of the comet. Wow, thanks for that. It's inside these crosshairs right here. It seems faint smudge against the background star field in these two images taken by the Mastcam Z instrument on board NASA's Perseverance Mars rover. So this is from the surface of Mars on October 4th, 2025. At the time it was imaged, the comet was about 18.6 million miles from the rover, which was exploring the rim of the red planet's Jezero crater. Okay, so there you go. That's that one. And then the next one here is the MRO. The high-rise camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter observed the comet from about 18.6 million miles away. So here we go. Wow, there we go. I still think I see people waving from the windows. Do you? I'm not sure. Yeah, don't put down Commodore 64, LOL. So there you go. This is an annotated version of the image of 3i Atlas captured by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Shows the trajectory of the interstellar comet along with a scale bar. The image was captured by the spacecraft's high-resolution imaging science experiment, or the HiRISE camera, back on October 2nd. So this picture is 6 weeks old, and we're just getting it. Way to go, guys. All right, so here we go. Here's the next ones. This one here, Punch mission spots the Three-Eye Atlas. The movie shows Punch observations of Comet Three-Eye Atlas from September 28th to October 10th, when the comet was between 231 and 235 million miles from Earth. Each frame is a daily stacked image made up of multiple observations taken of the comet each day. Stars create streaks of light in the background as the comet moves across the sky. The bright object that appears near the comet in a couple of the frames is the planet Mars. Well, that's pretty cool. That's kind of a freako deal to have that happen right there. But there we go again. An ultraviolet image composited of the hydrogen atoms surrounding Comet 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever detected by astronomers as it passes through our solar system. The image was taken on September 28, just days before the comet's closest approach to Mars, by an instrument on NASA's MAVEN spacecraft, which has been studying Mars from orbit since 2014. The instrument, the Image Ultraviolet Spectrograph, takes pictures in the ultraviolet part of the spectrum to reveal the chemical composition of objects. The image shows hydrogen emitted from the different sources. The comet, dim spot on the far left, hydrogen from Mars, bright emissions on the right. The hydrogen flowing through our solar system between the planets is the dim emission in the middle. MAVEN spectrograph distinguished the comet's hydrogen from the interplanetary and Martian hydrogen using a special mode to separate each source by its speed. Hydrogen emissions from the comet is confined to the location of the comet on the sky, which is why it is small and round instead of extended. Well, that's very interesting. So that's not necessarily a picture of the actual thing. This is a way for them to measure the gases, basically, that are being off-gassed by this thing. All right, so let's see, what else do we got? This is going back in time. Some of these we've already seen now. We showed this one the other night, I think last night. But this shows you here how it made a really close pass to Mars. But Earth is way over here. And now we're over here, and this is over here. But it's going to go past long before we get around this corner here. And so it's really, we're not going to get too much closer than we are right now. And that's it. We've seen all these other ones. That's the new pictures. These are the pictures here that they've been raving about that they're going to release. Oh my God. These are the ones that it took them a week to check them and make sure there was no top secret information in them or anything. Yeah, Eyes, thank you for coming in tonight. Appreciate that. Yep, thanks for joining the crew. We are here every night at 9 p.m. and we do all news, but we're heavy on breaking news and we're heavy on science. All right, let's see. We also, every night, we provide a multi-screen format. Every night we try to find shots of things going on all over the world, and we put them in all the little windows. And then we hope that they keep playing while I'm busy producing and monologuing in the show. Yeah, no. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's the latest image right there. That's the one they've been raving about. That's the one that's over a month old. And they just now released it to us. There it is. Wah, wah. The more you know. Actually, I probably should have played this one. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, guys, so that's it. That's the Three-Eye Atlas that you guys have all been waiting for. I know that everybody's just been absolutely waiting for that one, and there it was right there. The bottom line is, we're never going to know. we're never going to get any closer pictures, I don't think, than we've already got. I mean, we do have the Hubbles. We do have a couple of different the Webb and different, spacecraft out there. There's a chance we could get maybe a little better imagery of it, but we're going to be really far away here. We have better imaging equipment here than we had on Mars, but Mars was a lot closer. Yeah, one of my jobs at work is like, throwing in funny sounds. And so I've been building me a sound bar here at the house. Because I think it enhances the show. I also think it can be distracting if you do it too much. So as much as like most things in life, it's best with moderation. So I try to throw in funny stuff. I got a whole program here called Jingle Palette. If you guys are interested, if you do a little podcast or you just want buttons on your screen to play funny sounds or whatever, it's called Jingle Palette. It's free, and you guys can just well, here, I'll tell you what. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll do that. I love to show you guys a little bit behind the curtain. I've always, my whole life, I've always loved hosts and shows that take you behind the curtain a little bit and show you, how it works, how the gears turn in the background. I always thought that was a cool thing, and so I try to do that here on this show, where I will show you what something looks like. Here's what Jingle Palette looks like, okay? And there's all my jingles. You can see I've got different folders here, and I can add to this. I add to this every couple days. I'll add another clip or two, but I have all different ones. These ones on this lower bar down here with the breaking news bed, they stay up no matter which one of these I'm in, but the top changes. So it's kind of cool. I have a full set of buttons here that are always here. Stuff I use a lot, like, when we're talking about the lag. And, things like, so, but I think it's important for you to know.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
That's right, and remember that. Okay, so yeah, I got all kinds of different stuff, bells and buzzers, and different things. That sound, you know what that sound is? Your laundry's done. And come on, everybody's had a dryer at one point in their life that had that exact buzzer in it. You know you did. You did.
Game over.
You will respect my daughter.
I gotta have more cowbell.
I love these. I find these. I make them myself sometimes. I got some funny political ones here.
Stage, but yeah, no.
That he's entitled to his opinion.
And that was the all the achievements of Kamala Harris. Thank you for that. Okay, and yeah, here we go. Got Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
The villages,
America's friendliest hometown. Yeah, these are all fun. I even have Greta Thunberg, the movie trailer clip. I got all this stuff in here.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
But apparently I did go to that island a bunch of times. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at this. I got all the ham radio sounds. See, all the ham guys just got stiff. I'm in a weird mood tonight, guys. You got to excuse me. Oh man! And of course, my two of my favorite movies that I'm gonna put more of these in. I like the little the movie sounders. Is a lot of fun. I do like the Forrest Gump ones. I think are my favorite. That's why they were some of the first ones I put in, because, you know, there is just so many fun things about that movie, and the amount of wisdom in that movie, like this.
Sometimes I guess there just aren't enough rocks.
That's sage wisdom right there. I mean, that is literally sage wisdom right there.
I'm pretty tired.
I'm gonna go home now. But yeah.
Directly in the buttocks.
Oh, you're gonna have nightmares hearing her cackle. I know, it's terrible.
I gotta pay. I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
I must have me about 15 of Dr. Peppers. All right, let's see here. Oh, I'm down to 25,800. I've been losing subs for 3 days. YouTube does this thing. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I'll be going up, and then all of a sudden for 3 days I'll be losing subs like crazy. I've lost 70 subs in the last 3 days. What's going on? Do people like hate me all of a sudden? Did I not shower? These are all playing in your brain 24/7. Oh well. Anyway, this is called Jingle Palette. Once you make sure once you set up your palette, you go down here and you save current palette, and then it'll give you a little line, and you type a name in for it. Very important. If you don't, it'll be gone. You got to save it. It's old school. So make sure you save it. There's all kinds of options and settings. I even use ones like, usually on my screen I have it set up like this. I like the look of it better. I haven't done it yet, but you can go back and make any of these whatever color you want. Like if you want a certain color, you can literally just go here, colorize, and you just pick the color, and there it is. I think it's cool. I like it, and if you're going to do shows and stuff, it is better, I think. So there you go. The more you know. Okay, all right, I'm watching the chat room for anything that you guys might have that you would like me to discuss. We are continuing to monitor this severe weather moving up through, moving up into Oklahoma out of Texas. And right now we're down to just 2 warnings in the whole country right now. And they're these 2 right here, east of Oklahoma City. Okmulgee, it's going to go up towards Broken Arrow and Tulsa, Oklahoma. You got to say it like that, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it's going to head right up that way. This particular cell may pass off just to the north of Tulsa, but it is starting to look nasty. I want to switch this to single site radar so we can get a better look at this thing. We got a site right nearby here. All right, look at this. It's about to go through Bristow, and we're getting some really high returns right now on the radar. Let's go ahead and take a split look at this. All right, there we go, guys. We're going to split the screen here. On the left, reflectivity. On the right, high-res velocity. And I do not see any rotation in this right now. Not showing much in the way of rotation. But, as I always like to do, let's look at it from a different angle. All right. Again, I don't really see, maybe, ooh, I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit of rotation right here. You can kind of see there's a little bit of rotation right there. There may be something trying to form right there. It's not too pronounced yet. Let's see if I have a third tower site that I can come off of here. Where's that third one at that I saw? Oh crap, there isn't a third one. This one's too far away. But it is showing that rotation. Look at that. Would not surprise me if they dropped a tornado warning on this one. We are starting to see some rotation here. I have no storm chasers on this one right now, and no cameras right out in front of it either. Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of rotation there. It's starting to pick up a little bit. Let me move it up. There we go. You guys see what we're looking at here, right? It's split screen. The left is showing you the volume of rain in the atmosphere at a certain level. The right is showing you the direction that the rain is moving in, called radial velocity. So the left is high-res reflectivity, the left is high-res reflectivity, the right is high-res velocity, or what they call radial velocity. And what that means is wow, I just had a disconnect reconnect warning. And it's weird because my chat room is no longer moving either. So my last chat was 8 minutes ago. Let me refresh and see if I need to refresh that screen. Yep, I did need to refresh. There was a bunch more. Well, there was a couple more anyway. Yes, there's several Democrat lawmakers that have come out and they have published an online ad that talks to our military people and tells them to disobey orders from their leaders that they feel aren't right, which is the exact wrong thing you tell fighting men and women. That's probably one of the stupider things that's happened in a long time. You tell people who are your fighting force, hey, listen, I'm a congressman or I'm a senator, and I'm telling you, if you don't like the order you were given and you don't think it's just, don't follow it. What kind of bullshit is that? When you send men into war, when you send people into war, because we send everybody to war now, when you send men and women into war, okay, they have to have one mindset, and that's winning that mother. All right? That has to be the mindset. They aren't told why. They go out and shoot people, and they don't even know why they're shooting them. It's not the way it works in the military. You don't get told why, you get told what, and that's it. It has to be that way. Men don't fight with their hearts, they fight with their rifles. And so you cannot go and tell these people, hey, only follow the orders that you feel are just. They don't have all the information. They couldn't possibly decide whether every order that they get from their superior officer is lawful and just. That's not their job. Their job is to do what they're told. If their leaders steer them the wrong way and tell them to do the wrong thing, that's dealt with. There's a process for that. But you do not disobey orders ever. You don't ever mutiny. And for those lawmakers to say this, it's disgusting. It's unacceptable, and it's over the top. My audio is coming and going. Okay, I don't know. I'm talking, the mic's right there. I'm talking right into it. Do you mean like, Yeah, there was an issue a few minutes ago, but it seems to be working now. Daddy, is yours working okay? No? Was that a yes or a no? I don't know. Don't show him your ass all the time. That's rude. You see me get up here and show him my asshole? Yeah, something weird happened, Heath. I had to refresh several of my screens too, and OBS said that I was disconnected and then said I was reconnected again. So, very strange. If you guys, we're on every night pretty much at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Yep, we're here. We're here, Igor. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that weird that it was something happened? I don't know. It was like yesterday, the same thing. We had several different feed issues, like where I would be giving an error that YouTube was not receiving enough bandwidth, but yet my computer was not even under a challenge at that point. It was like, Kitty, what? What? What's all this about? What's this about? Boy, there's going to be a lot of this, I think, man. As these Epstein files come out, I think we're going to see more and more people. Former Treasury Secretary just exited an elite university where he had been teaching because it's come out that he was involved in this whole Epstein thing. I don't think people even understand. This Epstein ran a fleet of jets. He had a 720 freaking 7, okay? This guy had all this jets in an island, and he had resorts in different places. He had apartments in different towns. He had all this stuff going on. And Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison right now for trafficking in minors. But no one's ever been arrested for being the one doing the minor. How can she be in prison for doing something that they never proved happened? The whole thing's bizarre to me. And I'm not saying she don't deserve to be locked up. She does. But what I am saying is, where's the rest of them? Why aren't they locked up? Why isn't this prick locked up? Why isn't different? I don't understand it. I mean, all this stuff's been going on. Went on for 20 years, hundreds and thousands, and not hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands of people involved in this, and thousands of hours of video, and every time they go to release it, something happens. Something happened. I just lost 2 more subs. Something happened, and yeah, it's crazy. Old fashioned. Hey, what's up? My cat's name's the orange one is Daddy, or Daddy Kitty, or Dino. He wandered up here feral with a broken leg, and we were debating on putting him down, and he ended up disappearing for a few weeks. And when he showed back up, his leg was a little better. It was actually a lot better. It was closed up, and he was using it a little bit. So we started feeding him and taking care of him, and he's been a great cat. He raises all the kittens that we take in. That's why he got the name Daddy Kitty. It was better than his first name, which was BLC, or Broken Leg Kitty. We called him BLC because it was right when they were calling her AOC and all that. Anyway, so we got BOC, which turned into Daddy, or Daddy Kitty. The black one, the little thin, little skinny, furry black one, that's my mama girl. She's came up here with her kittens, feral. We helped her raise her kittens, and she has just turned into an absolute lover too. Her name is Mama Bleep. She's Mama because she had kittens. She's fixed now, and she is named Bleep because her tongue hangs out. And then I think her tongue was literally made too long because it's always hanging out. And then finally, the gray one that you see a lot of times, that's Ed Earl Grey. And I wanted to call him Earl Grey after the tea that Jean-Luc Picard drinks on Star Trek. But she wanted to call him Ed Earl after the sheriff on The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which was played by Burt Reynolds. So there you go. There's the rundown on the cats. All three of them wandered up here feral. All three of them were taken in by us and loved by us. All three of them are between 8 and 10 years old, and they're all living a great life. Lone Silencer, yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. I can't believe how much cover they give these pedophiles. I can't believe it. We should all immediately be appalled by this. Yet it's just going on. It just, hey. We should all be absolutely appalled by this. We should be in fear that this is going to happen to a child that we love. A family member one day could be the victim of child rape. I cannot believe that this just goes on like this, and it's just like, oh well, it's blasé, blasé. It happened 20 years ago. Whatever. I mean, really? I don't think he died. Let me tell you something. He didn't kill himself in the suicide-proof cell with the broken camera and the 3 security guards that didn't show up for work. No one's buying that bullshit. He was obviously killed. Well, the people doing it, you have to understand, about 10% of the people on this earth, they are born lacking something that the rest of us have. When you see a dead cat on the side of the road, or a dead dog, or you drive by and you see a bad accident and there's a yellow blanket on the road, you feel bad. You feel for that person and their family. It hurts a little bit. I see a dead cat, I see a dead squirrel, I'm like, oh man. That sympathy that you feel, that darkness that you feel when you feel someone else's pain, about 10% of us aren't born with that. I'm telling you. I certainly was. I cry more than a lot of men do. I can tell you that things make me profoundly sad. And then when I read about these people that they don't ever get sad, they don't ever feel sympathy for you. Someone can come in your house and kill your entire family tonight. He's your next door neighbor. He don't care. He doesn't shed a tear, gets up, goes to work the next day. Doesn't matter to him at all. He can work with a guy for 15 years. The guy keels over with a heart attack. Don't matter to him. He just sits there and keeps right on working. Now, see, some of these people, they put up a good show. They're smart. And they can put out a good show. They can all act all thoughts and prayers and shit when they need to. But the truth is, about 10% of us, give or take, about 10% of us are born without sympathy, and they're born without empathy. I just lost another sub. And they are basically, literally, they just live for themselves. They don't care about anything or anybody else. They don't feel bad when a building burns down that all these people worked hard to build and all these people lived in. They don't care. They don't care when they see people jumping off a building. They don't care. And so you have to understand that not every human feels the way you do about things. And when you say something like, how can someone with children do this to children? What I just told you is how. They don't have any feelings at all about what the child's going through, what the child's future will be like. They wouldn't care if the child died. Doesn't bother them. So if they absolutely don't care about anybody except themselves, they don't even feel love for family, they don't feel sympathy for the dead, why would that person ever, I mean, that's the kind of person when they're like that, okay, when they have no sympathy or any of that, those are the kind of people that become serial killers. Those are the kind of people that just become really nasty, horrible people. Because they don't feel any of the pain for their victims. And then when you add other sick perversions on there, because remember, these are sick, perverted people anyway. When you add other sick perversions on there, it gets really bad. And so that's what we're really dealing with here, is we're dealing with people in our population that don't have any feelings like, oh, I feel bad about anything or whatever. Yep. All right, Heath, I can check that real quick. Let me use Grok for that. Guys, I've almost given up on ChatGPT. It's gone absolutely... Oh, Grok 4.1 just got released. We're on 4.1. Yeah, ChatGPT's just gone to shit. On November 18th, 2025, which was Tuesday, yesterday, gunmen attacked the Christ Apostolic Church in Eureka, in Aruku, a town in Kwara State, central Nigeria, during a service or church meeting. Armed assailants stormed the church, opening fire on worshipers. At least 2 people were killed, though some Christian advocacy sources report up to 8 deaths. The pastor and several worshippers were kidnapped and taken to nearby forests for bush paths. The attack was captured on video. The church was live streaming at the time, showing worshippers fleeing in panic as gunshots rang out and the gunmen entered, rummaging through abandoned belongings. Mainstream reports, Reuters, BBC, Al Jazeera, Washington Post, ABC News described the attackers as gunmen or bandits, typical in Nigeria for criminal gangs involved in kidnapping for ransom, often operate in the northwest and central regions. No group has currently claimed responsibility. The police have not officially identified them as a specific Islamist terrorist organization like Boko Haram or ISWAP, which are more active in the northeast. Some Christian persecution monitoring groups like International Christian Concern and Advocacy Voices labeled the attackers as terrorists linked to broader anti-Christian violence, noting patterns similar to attacks by radicalized Fulani militants or Islamist groups in Nigeria's Middle Belt. However, neutral and government-aligned sources emphasize that many such attacks are driven by criminality and lack of resources. All right, so there you go. Yeah. I'll tell you what, anytime anyone thinks that attacks on Christians are a thing of the past, they happen every day in this world. Christians are attacked every day for their beliefs. Jews are attacked every day for their beliefs. Life sucks. I don't like it. That's why we have to look out for each other. We have to, regardless of whether we're Christian or Muslim or even atheist for that matter, we should all stand up for each other's rights to worship. Hey, can I help you? What? This cat, he deeply looks in your eyes like he's trying to understand. He's trying to communicate with you. I love older cats. A cat never stops developing over the years. And you may look at them and say, oh, they sleep in the window every day. They're stupid. Let me tell you something. Cats never stop learning. They remember things their entire life. And a cat will get to the point where they have a connection with you. And I have that with about 4 or 5 of my cats, where they will stand there and stare into my eyes because they want to understand. And I talk to them just about like I talk to you guys. And I know they don't understand most of the individual words, but they understand the movements and the context. If I say, you want out, they know what that means, you know, but I'm also standing and moving towards the door with my hand out. So, I mean, I'm giving the visual clues as well, right? You know, so, but cats are actually pretty good at reading your mood. And that's another thing. A cat doesn't understand rage and anger that much. I have seen them get angry and get and act out a little bit, but they don't get like us. And a lot of times what they'll do is they modify their behavior because they want our behavior to be better. And so a lot of it is they don't want to be yelled at. So they do, I'm going to go sit over here because I don't get yelled at. And so we use that with them as a form of discipline, a way to do it, you know. But the truth is, cats don't really understand I'm not supposed to sit on the keyboard because it's bad. What a cat understands is if I put my paws on that bumpy thing, the guy goes weird on me. That's literally how they look at it. I step on this thing here and he starts acting like an asshole. That's how a cat looks at it. And so the cat doesn't want you to act that way because a cat likes when you're calm and when you pet him and you're being nice. So the cat won't stand on the keyboard. Not because in his mind it's wrong, but because he doesn't want you being all shitty to him. That's literally the bottom line. I have 6 cats that are my cats that primarily live indoors or indoor outdoor. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7. And then I have about 4 or 5 ferals outside that I feed. So that's about where I'm at. I have 7 cats that I claim. But I also have two that came from one neighbor that died. I got another one that came from another neighbor that moved away. And I got another Siamese that showed up here recently. And now I've got a little kitten that lives at the house behind me. She's coming over now and bringing all of her little kittens over to eat lunch with us now. So I got little kittens running around here, but they're not mine. They go back home. But it's it's one of those things. Well, it is. There is an element of politics to religion for sure. But Islamists will use both religion and politics to achieve their goal. It's different. Christianity's goal is not to go around the world and conquer everybody and make them believe in Jesus Christ or kill them. However, one would argue that that is what the Quran says to do. That if you don't believe in the Quran and the Muslim faith, Muhammad and all that, if you don't believe in it like they do, They fire you off a building. You and all the women that didn't wear something over their face, all the gay guys, the transgenders, the lesbians, all thrown off the roof onto the ground. Yeah, I've got a lot of cats, but not too many. I'm very close to the ones I have. I've got basically 2 that live in the studio, which is something kind of new. I've found I'm making things now to hang my keyboards and stuff on, so because they like to just walk around this room and walk all over all the keyboards and take everything offline, and I can't let that happen. Yeah, get catnip. They love catnip. All right, and let's see what else is going on, guys. If you think about it, my mom is recovering, as you guys know, from a health emergency. She's in rehab right now, and it looks like she's come down with a very serious cold or flu, and so just keep her in your prayers. I do appreciate everybody out there that does that, and I think she'll pull through this okay. But it's scary because she's already not in a great state, and to have a major illness when you're still recovering from a major health problem, it's a little scary. Yeah, there's a lot to learn about cats. Cats are an absolutely amazing creature. I understand that dogs are great. I even like dogs. I like dogs quite a bit. I've never owned a dog. I don't want a dog. But I've lived with people that have dogs. I've rented with people that have dogs. I've rented to people that had dogs. And I like it. I can deal with it as long as it's taken care of. Every now and then you get a dog that has that really stinky oil, and no matter what you do, the whole house and everything just stinks like that dog. I can't handle that. I won't go in the house. I'll sit out on the porch. No, we're not there yet. There may be an IV tomorrow. We're going to see how dehydrated she is. Yeah, I'm not sure what they put her on medicine, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, trained dogs can be good companions. Cats are good right out of the box. That's what's great about them. This cat had never used a litter box. I let him in here last week when it froze over. We got a really cold day here. He freaked out because he doesn't handle the cold. He's a ginger, got thin skin, really wispy hair, and he freaked out because it got cold, and it literally scares him when it gets like that. And I let him in here, and now I can't get him to leave. And he's using the litter box just like any other cat. And that's why when people say, oh, he's not litter box trained, there's no such thing. There's cats that won't use the litter box because they're stubborn assholes. Okay? And that's true. But a cat knows if you put down a box of sand, there's nowhere he'd rather shit. That's just the perfect place. That's why you don't have to litter train a cat. It's natural for them to go find a square of sand and dig a little hole and drop the deuce down in the hole. It would probably just be saline. It would just be, for hypovolemia a little bit, just a little bit of volume. Look, it is what it is. I think she's going to be okay. I don't know. Just keep her in your thoughts. It's been a rough road right now. And my mom and I are very tight. So it's one of them things. Chesapeake Bay Retrievers. I've heard the name, but I couldn't point one out, I don't think. That's true. You train dogs. Cats train humans. That's true. That goes. There's even a shirt, I think, that says that. But it's true. You train a dog, but you don't train a cat. The cat literally will train you, and he'll explain to you how he wants things done, and he'll eventually get his way. You look, in 5 years, you'll be doing it exactly the way that cat wants it done. she's alert and oriented, just very congested, lots of coughing, throat swollen. They did a test on her today for pneumonia and COVID, and she came back negative. There is 12 other people in the facility that have pneumonia. That's what's worrying me. But she came back negative for pneumonia, and she came back negative COVID. So we're hoping it's just a flu. She's getting good care there. We've got her in a good place. And trust me, don't ever take that for granted. There's some medieval ass places you can put your family, and you don't want to have to do that. Yeah, there's breeds of dogs that are hypoallergenic. There's also breeds of cat that are hypoallergenic, and all that really means is they're cats that have real oily skin, and they don't dander. Believe it or not, all you got to do to make a cat hypoallergenic is just get a cat that doesn't dander. That's pretty much all it is. Yeah, Honey and Tea, they're doing all that for her. They're taking good care of her up there. Look, she's been in 3 places. The second one, I wouldn't piss on if it was on fire. But this third one's really good. We like this one. We like the people there. Yeah, they're doing all that. They went to mass protocol there 2 days ago. What's your point? Just do it the way the cat wants it done. That's right. It's the path of least resistance. Because trust me, you'll give up before the cat does. Yeah. I don't know. I after all those studies that were done after COVID, I'm not really sure. What the masks do is remind you that you need to stay separated, remind you that there's an illness, remind you that you need to be careful. But how much of the virus they actually keep out of your body, I'm not sure. But it is a decent precaution, and it's easy enough to do. Yeah, Shady Pines. Well, the place I'm talking about actually I think was called like Sunset Village or some shit. I'm like, they actually call the place Sunset Village. That's kind of cliche. Yeah, cats are the Borg. You will be assimilated. I have that on my button bar somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Anyway. Oh, there it is.
Resistance is futile.
Hey, Brian. Well, they're all starting to go offline now. That's why they're blacked out. We're starting to go offline. We had a bunch of different views of some protests that were going on in Portland and also in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, that's what it does do. I don't believe that masks stop the actual viral germs, whatever you want to call them. But I do believe that they stop contamination from fluids. I do believe, like a spit come out of your mouth. I do believe they help some. Also, when it comes to the actual bug, I think it helps some. And I also believe that it helps remind us that we need to be careful, that there's something big going on, that we're wearing a freaking mask. So masks are good, they're fine. They put way too much reliance on them during COVID. And people would say like, well, I was fine because I had a mask on. So you walked into a room full of people that had COVID, but you felt you were okay because you had a mask on. I don't like that. I don't think people should never have gotten that comfortable. That was kind of my problem. It's like, look, these masks are not foolproof. They're not. They help. Mostly just reminding us and keeping spit out of our mouth and stuff like that. But they do help. Yeah, masks have never been mandatory in Florida for the most part. They were mandatory for a month or two in different counties and stuff, but it didn't last long like it did everywhere else. We opened our schools back up after just one semester, and our businesses, we went right back to work. I continued working right through the pandemic. So it was a what I call a pro-lawlessness rally. It was basically they're against ICE agents taking illegals and taking them out of our country. They don't want ICE raids. I'll never understand how so many people, and of course it really isn't that many people. That's the bottom line here. When they hold a big protest and like 9 people show up, or 40 people, or even 100 people show up, it just shows you that there's really not that. You know who it is? Look who's protesting. White liberal women. 80% of your protesters, white liberal women. A lot of them are in blow-up creature costumes. Why is there no Hispanic people protesting the anti-ICE rally? Have you ever wondered that? Because the ones that are here legally worked hard to get here legally, and they don't want to screw it up. And the ones that are illegal don't want to get caught and rounded up in an ICE raid, so they don't show up. So there's no Hispanic people to speak of in these rallies. It's all been mostly white liberal women with blue hair. They do a lot of these rallies. There was one just the other day where a bus pulled up and dropped off 50 people, and they all walked out with pre-printed signs. Nobody had homemade signs. Every sign was pre-printed. It was like 3 different formats. And they all got off this bus and they all went to protesting. And you can usually tell the angry protesters, like after George Floyd, those people were mad. Those people were angry. Right or wrong, they were angry. Okay? We're not seeing this here. What we see is paid protesters show up on a Greyhound bus. They get off and they walk over there, and you'll see one of them going, "What do we want? When do we want it? Oh, I don't know now." I mean, it's terrible. Well, yeah, deploribus, that's true. We've not had any of this bullshit in Miami. We don't have this bullshit in Miami. Cubans understand what it means to be a leftist. Trust me, they get it. They understand. Let's put this back in splits again and see if we've got any rotation. Still not really much in the way of rotation there. All right. Yeah. Well, visa overstays is the number 2 thing that causes illegal immigration numbers. Number 2 things, visa overstays. Number 1, of course, is border incursions. But number 2, of course, is visa overstays. I mean, you know, they come here, they get a 6-month visa, they do whatever they do, and then they just don't leave, they stay. Well, Canna, I hate to say this, but you should probably already be working on that plan. The Civil War's on right now. The Civil War is being fought right now. It's being fought with U-Haul trucks. And Florida and Texas is winning. California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, losing. Why? Well, because what's happening right now is all the illegal aliens are moving towards the blue states, and all of the hard-working American innovators, workers, laborers, service people, nurses and doctors, they're all moving away from these blue cities, and we're getting them all down here. We're getting all this talent, all these people, middle-aged people in the height of their career, moving down here to Florida. Retirees looking to spend all that retirement money, moving down here to Florida. People with families, with students going to school, moving down here to Florida because we have school choice down here. The money follows the student. You don't have to put your kid in public school in Florida. You get almost $9,000 paid towards the tuition in a private school. And you got private schools that'll do it for just about that now. So they're all moving here. That's happening. And now that you've got Dumkami Memdami up there, the communist socialist mayor of New York, my Lord, I got real estate people down here. We had a real estate guy come on the air and tell us how they're gearing up for the next wave. People are going to be moving in droves again. We're about to gerrymander about 4 or 5 new seats. And then in 5 years, when the census comes out again, we're going to pick up 2 or 3 or 4 more seats. Because everybody's moving here. It's crazy. So, I'd get here before we run out of space. Sheriff Brady, I'm not sure where he's at. Yeah, I saw that. I saw the thing on the bus. Oh, Grady, Sheriff Grady. I think he's aggressive. I think he's a media hound. He likes the camera. I think it's a little more theatrics than I like. And I think he can be a little bit tyrannical when it comes to the Constitution, free speech, photography, public photography, things like that. But is he the worst? No. No, I live in Lee County. We got the worst tyrant in the world here. I also, 2 of my neighboring counties, I love the sheriffs in those counties. I think they're great. So it's kind of one of those mixed bags in Florida. A lot of the sheriffs down here get a little big for their britches because the sheriff's position in Florida is a very powerful position. And they get too big for their britches. And that's what's happened. I think some with Grady. And I also think a lot with my sheriff here as well. They just get to the point where all they care about is the mission. They no longer care about civil rights and things like that. And I think that once we reach a point where civil rights are put aside so that cops can do their job, and that's kind of what they're doing now. You know, that's a real problem in this country. I'm just telling you, that's going to be one of our biggest problems here, is when groups of our population stop respecting the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights. Yeah, I support ICE. I want them to do their job legally. I want them to be careful to follow the rules that they're given. I want them to only use what force is necessary. And I want them to be good stewards of the power that we've given them. And I want them to be good law enforcement officials. That being said, yes, they need to be supported and they need to do their job. So yeah, go do it. Just do it well. Don't go out there and make an ass of yourself. And from what I've seen, I want you guys to think about something. Think about this. All these raids that have been going on, all these raids, have you heard of any reports coming out of people getting beat, people getting tased over and over and over, people getting their balls kicked in? Have you heard anything about people getting their eyes punched out? Have you heard anything about? No, you haven't. I haven't. I'm in the news every day. I don't see it. Why? I think ICE is actually doing a good job. I think they're actually minding their P's and Q's. They know they're being watched right now. They know that they need to do this properly. And they are. I think they're towing the line. I really do. I have not seen any video, and trust me, if there was video of these ICE agents mistreating human beings, it would be everywhere. Think about it. So, I actually think they're doing a pretty good job right now. Look, you can judge it on the fact that if there was anyone that saw these people doing anything wrong, remember the controversy over the guys on the horseback? Remember, and they had the lariats, and they were doing this with the lariats, and it came out that they were whipping the Mexican people that were coming over the fence. They were whipping them with whips, and they weren't. They were actually lariats, and they were using the back end of the lariat to do this with the horse. They do that, and those guys almost lost their job. I mean, the outrage and everything else, and they didn't even do anything wrong. So what I'm telling you guys is, if these border agents, if these customs agents, if these people, all these different agencies that they're using right now to fulfill the role of ICE, because it's not just ICE, it's local, it's state, it's other federal, all working together right now to do this job. If there was widespread abuse going on, we would have videos out the ass. It would be crazy, absolutely ludicrous and nuts. And so I'm just not buying it right now. I'm really just, I really just don't think that there's any widespread abuses going on. Everything I saw has been peaceful. I haven't seen the first bloody head or broken eye or anything. I don't know. You tell me what you guys think. I think they're doing pretty well. If they could operate this big and this bad and this bold for this long and not have 50 videos of them beating people out there, they're doing something right. I'm sorry, but I think they are. Oh, yeah, Barack Obama deported a lot of people, but you have to remember it was completely different back then. Under Barack Obama, they wanted to get immigration under control. It was a completely different time. Yeah, I mean, they've been shot at, they've been egged, they've been rammed, they've been thrown rocks at, they've been bricked. They have had their equipment damaged and stolen. They've had their vehicle tires flattened. I mean, they've been attacked like crazy, and yet no video of them beating people has surfaced. That has to count for something. Yeah, well, we'll see if they actually resign. I know down here, we're flushed with people. We don't have a hard time hiring cops down here. We've got people moving here every day that were great cops up north, and they want to come down here, and they want to be police officers down here where we support them in their mission. If just 500 retire on January 1st, it's going to be cataclysmic. If 5,000 retire, that's I don't know. That's a very large percentage of their overall number of people. But see, that's what a socialist, a communist like Memdami would want. Because civil unrest would allow him to do whatever he wants. He calls martial law. Next thing you know, he's dictator. See, you got to remember, a lot of times these people allow things to happen so that they can end up with the power they need to get the other objectives accomplished. And civil unrest would give him unlimited power in the city. Under an emergency order, he'd be able to move a lot more money and people around. He would be able to change things under executive order that normally he wouldn't be able to. It would actually be a benefit to Kami Memdami if there were civil unrest in New York and things went nuts there and burned down buildings and the whole bit. That would be good for him, because then he could simply notch up the control about 3 notches. Remember, it's all about communism with him. It's all about the state running and owning and protecting the means of production. Right now, our government does not own any of our production. But under him, he wants to run the grocery stores. He wants government grocery stores and government-type Walmart stores. And he wants a transit system where you don't have to pay to ride. What kind of bullshit is that? You know, the riders only pay 35% of the overall cost. The taxpayers eat almost the rest of it. Only 35% of New York transit cost is actually paid for by the fares of the riders. 35%. It's the same thing here. So in other words, the people that go out and pay taxes and pay for insurance and pay for their own car and pay for their own gas and drive their own ass, those people still have to pay taxes that go to keep buses on the road that they never use. And the people riding those buses, in many cases, don't pay any taxes at all. Because here the buses are supported by property taxes. If you don't own any property and you don't rent anywhere or anything, then one would argue you're really not paying into the bus system at all. So you're homeless and you're not paying into the bus system at all, but yet you're using it every day. And your fare that you're paying only covers 35% of the overall cost. So what that basically means is that the rest of us are burdened by the cost of these buses and everything else. Well, in New York, it's the same way. They're now saying they want free fares. Well, that's going to bring the cost of the busing system up by 35%. It's a 35% increase in the first year. Plus the fact that once it's free, you're going to get more riders. It's going to burden the system more. So it's a really stupid idea, but that's what they do. That's what communists do. Because once they control all the rides and everybody rides the bus, they now control your transportation. Communists want to control everything. Once they get you using the government grocery store, they now control your food. They now know everything you purchase. They know when you purchase it, where, how, and what quantities. Look at the data they could get from that. And then they control what food your family gets because you went shopping at the government store. They'll probably eventually put liquor to where it's only sold by the government. Some places have done that, like North Carolina. You got to buy liquor from the state. This bullshit of government controlling the means of production is wrong, it's bad, and it never leads to anything good. Mamdani does not support the police. He doesn't support law and order. He's made stupid statements like, why are we sending cops to domestic violence? We should be sending counselors. See how that goes. When the pile of dead counselors gets so high, they'll probably change their mind. And you're correct, Lone Silencer. You're absolutely correct, because he has to go through Albany to change the bus system. You're absolutely correct. Yep, he has to go through Albany, which a lot of people don't know is the actual capital of New York. It's not New York. New York City, New York County is not the capital of New York State. It's Albany. The fees on the buses in Fort Smith only cover 15%. Yeah, isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that stupid? I think that their fares should cover 100% of the ride. Now the bus trip, instead of being 75 cents, is $3. Who cares? You still got all the way south of town for $3. Pay your share. Beasley, welcome in. I was thinking of that same song when I said that, believe it or not, Beasley. Yep. I owe my life to the company store. It's a song about a coal miner. And if you go to work at the coal mine, when you get done working your first week, what they do is they give you your money. And you can spend your money at the company store. And eventually, the next week, you get your money and it's not quite enough. And so the store will extend you a line of credit. And after a while, you owe the company store $300, which back then was a month's salary. I mean, and just to feed your family, you would go collect your money, get your groceries, and you wouldn't still have enough money, so you'd have to borrow $20 worth of groceries from the company store. The company would also rent you your home. In some cases, even provide you with some kind of transportation. But in every case, you would have to pay for it. And what you ended up paying for it was always a little bit more than what you made. And so you owed your life to the company store, meaning that once you started working in that coal mine, you could never get out. It's kind of like, it was like the mafia of the time. They keep sucking me back in. It was kind of like that. And a lot of people would finally run and leave, and they would send people after you to find you. It was crazy. But the whole thing with the company was, if I can get this person indentured to me, which is basically what you're doing, you get them indentured to you, they have to work for you because they owe you money. You've got it made. You got people that you can abuse and treat like shit, work very hard, 12, 13 hours a day, and work in a dark-ass environment, a deadly environment with a candle on their head. Yeah, it was crazy. But it's what men had to do to feed their families. And then these companies would set up the price charts to where everybody got in debt to the company store, just a little bit each week. Oh, Lone Silencer, the first 6 months, try the first 6 nights. Look, I was a cop a long time ago. It was in the 90s. I was a cop for 8 years while I was a firefighter. I did it part-time, but I was certified. I worked the street as a cop. And I'll tell you something, domestic violence, domestic calls, especially ones that involved alcohol, were the most dangerous calls we went on. Cops were shot the most on 2 different things, traffic stops and domestic battery. Those are the 2 calls. That's where it happens. Because when you're stopping people on the side of the road in the middle of the night, there's just way too much opportunity there for someone that's in trouble. And domestic battery, passions are running high, drinks are running high, and it's a volatile situation. And when you pull up, you have no idea who's right, who's wrong, who the aggressor was, and it's dangerous. And I don't know. I actually understand what they're saying. When cops show up, 5, 6 cops show up and they stand all the way around you and they stand there with their hands on their gun and intimidate the shit out of you, that's not the way to handle things either. But we do have to balance a safe approach and a reasonable approach. I think so many times cops show up with way too much force and they do things that are intentionally intimidating. And I think some of that's a little too much. But that being said, officer safety nowadays has become a real problem. And so some of that's done just as a perseverance, basically. Yeah, I'm not much. I did not like dealing with domestic calls at all. The last thing I wanted to do is go to your house and get into your business and take one of the two of you to jail, or both of you, or whatever. I did not like dealing with those calls at all. I never did. I never wanted to deal with those calls, but you have to as part of the job. I think, here's the thing, being a police officer has become more deadly over the years. It's become more dangerous in a way. It's become more cutting edge. It's become faster paced. Error, there's more to know now than there used to be. It ups the ante for human error and things like that. All this is true. But on the flip side of this, we have years and years now of experience and training and equipment. We have much better equipment now than we used to, you know. We've gotten all these different things they carry now, you know, tasers and sprays and the latest in batons and all this kind of stuff. And even the less than lethal stuff, the bean bags, the rubber bullets, the stop sticks. There's so many things we've come up with here to be able to handle situations with a less than lethal outcome. We've come a long way. So is the streets become more dangerous? Yes. But so is the equipment, and the training has become better as well. And I think it's almost a wash. I think we're losing per capita about as many cops as we were losing 30 years ago to gunshot wounds. The number one way cops die, they don't wear their seatbelts. That's what pisses me off sometimes with cops, when all they want to talk about is how dangerous their job is, how dangerous their job is. We're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die. When the chances are they're more likely to die because they didn't wear their seatbelt than being shot by a bad guy or stabbed by a bad guy or killed otherwise by a bad guy. More cops die every year because they didn't wear their seatbelt. That's the number one cause of death. So when they go on and on about how dangerous it is getting shot, and they tell you, you can't stand behind me, you got to stand here, you can't do this, you can't do that, officer safety, officer safety, officer safety, and then they get in their car and don't put their seatbelt on and they drive away. I don't know. What am I missing? It's a non sequitur. You're so worried about your life, but then when you leave, you don't even bother putting your seatbelt on. I don't understand stuff like that. It bothers me. It makes me think that the whole officer safety thing is just something they kind of use to get away with stuff. That person in the box. Yeah, there's public input going on at that meeting right now. Let's see if we can hear what she's saying. That's not it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, the old me almost came out, but I took.
Okay, that's not it. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Silence. Yes.
Oh, crap, she's done.
Geraldine is joining us online.
Welcome, please go right ahead.
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Boneo, and a licensed physical therapist. I'm testifying in opposition to this proposal. And first of all, I just have to say that quoting.
Can I just say, people that come on Zoom meetings and don't turn their camera on, it's rude. Sorry. I'm just going to put it out there. I hate that. You plan a Zoom meeting, you got 9 or 10 people come in, and there's always one person that won't turn their camera on. And I'm like, dude, so what? Your hair don't look good, whatever. So there's laundry in the background. Who cares? Just turn your damn camera on. I hate that. Yeah, the cops, none of the cops wear their seatbelts around here. And anytime there's a bad wreck, they're always in the hospital, serious injuries, don't know if they're going to live. And I always ask, hey, he was in a state-of-the-art Ford Explorer. He had airbags, he had a seatbelt, he had one of the top 20 safest rated vehicles in the country. And he's seriously injured. You have to ask yourself why. And what they won't tell you is he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. And so he lurched forward towards the steering wheel, and the airbag came out and shoved him back into the seat again. When you're not wearing a seatbelt, the airbag actually does more harm than good. It does protect you from eating the steering wheel. But what it does is while you're accelerating forward at 90 miles an hour, you want out? Come on. Coming in, Ed? In or out? I'm not holding the door. Come on up, Ed. They always have to go check out the food. Make sure I'm not giving them better food out here than I'm giving them in the house. Oh, I don't know. All right, guys, what else do we got? I'm getting ready to sign off. I've done my 2. Hey, Ed, say hi to everybody. Guys, this is Ed Earl. Ed's my boy. He's 10. Wandered up here as a complete stray. And I called him my pet store cat. And everybody's like, why do you call him a pet store cat? And I'm like, look at this thing. He wouldn't have lasted 4 hours in a pet store. And his ass would have been bought. Are you kidding me? I mean, this cat is beautiful. He is steel gray. He's got a great personality. He's a beautiful cat. And he just wandered up here at my house. Beautiful cat. It's the kind of thing you'd buy at the pet store and spend $300 on. He's just an absolutely gorgeous cat. And now he's 10 and he's grown up just to be an amazing, lovable cat. He just loves me. He's my number 1 right now. That's right. He sleeps right next to me at night, right next to my pillow. I've got a little spot for him. Isn't that right? He's crazy. Oh, Victor, it's my pleasure. I love doing it. Yeah. Yeah, they did this ham radio thing during COVID. And some of you maybe heard me tell this story, so I'll tell the very short version. Hey, Stephen. Oh, Stephen, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't get that fancy. I build straight wires. I don't even use balance or ununs or any of that. I do have some end-fed stuff, but it's commercial. I'll be honest, I do build some HF antennas, but it's all just straight wire antennas. The antennas I like to build, though, I like to build 2 meter and 440 Unayagis. That's where I love to do it, with the hairpin turn and the whole thing. I love making those. But when it comes to the HF stuff, I don't really, mostly commercial, or I just make a dipole or an inverted V or something like that. All right, have a good night, Red. Deploribus. Right now, what I'm using, I've got a 5-element 4H 6-meter Unayegi beam up on top of my oil derrick tower at 20 feet. And I've got a 20-meter end-fed wire that goes from 15 feet up to 30 feet, stretched between 2 of my towers. And I've got a bunch of ham sticks, and I can actually use those that Heath let me borrow. And I've been using those in the mobile. And so, I mean, that's pretty much what I have. I don't do a lot of HF here at the house because the noise floor is through the roof. Pun intended. The noise floor here is 10/9, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, it's bad, and it's not just here, it's my whole neighborhood. I drove around just the other day trying to figure out, what pole it is or whatever. It's the whole neighborhood's a high noise floor. I found a spot on the next road over that's 20/9 on the noise floor at 20 meters. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so I don't do a lot of radio here, but now that I got the radio that goes in my car, I bought the FT710 brand new a couple weeks ago, and I got my dash all set up to where it goes right on the dash and it hooks in, and then I take that thing out, and I've been killing it with the ham sticks. Yes, computers are noisy, and I have 9 of them in here running. I think that's probably part of it. I also think it's the poles and the electrical in the area. I also think we've got a lot of older appliances in here and stuff. There's a lot of reasons for it. And I'm not ruling out that a lot of it's my own shit too, But yeah. Oh, let's see what else. I also have a 10 through 20 hex, but it's sitting out on the side of the house right now because I got the 6 up. Normally this time of year I take the 6 down and I put the hex up, but I've been by myself down here and I can't do it by myself. LED lights are noisy, that's true, and everything's LED now. Most of these TVs in here are LED backlit. There's still a few cold cathode, but most are LED. All my exterior and interior lighting is LED. I'm having an issue in my car. I put these cheap LED lights in the back that I bought from China for next to nothing. And would you believe that when I turn my turn signal on, my FM radio goes every time that turn signal light comes on, it makes a little static noise over the radio. So yeah, there's all kinds of that stuff. Street lights, anything LED can be noisy. Of course, that used to be the case with the metal halide or the high pressure sodium, or even the old mercury vapors. They all tended to have some noise with them, with the ballasts and everything, and fluorescent even too. I think LED's bad, but I don't know if it's any worse than all the other kinds of lighting we used to have. Well, they are. They are. They were from China. That wasn't a racial thing. They were Chinese lights. They were from China. Of course, the truth is, every LED light you buy is from China. That's the truth. Yeah, there you go. HIDs, the old high energy discharge lights, like high pressure sodium. Yep. Yep. All right, guys, anything else? I'm signing off. Last call. Last call for the chat room. Low pressure sodium. The low pressure sodium we had here, our big civic center here, back in the day, experimented with low pressure sodium. The bulbs were like this long, and they had a big, like a tube inside of them. They were about that long, and it was low pressure sodium. The color they put out was very orange. I mean, like twice as orange as the high pressure sodium ones. A crazy orange light, very, very deep orange. But they got good gas mileage, and they had these lights everywhere out on the fairgrounds, and slowly over the years they were replaced. But I can remember, even as a child, as an older child, like a teenager, going to the Civic Center and looking at those weird lights and going like, I've never seen these kind of lights before. And I went and looked them up, and they were low pressure sodium lights. I've also heard of the ones that are almost green too. Yeah. Plants, yes. Plants need red and blue light, and they don't need green. Remember, it's primary colors, red, green, blue. There's only 3 colors, red, green, blue. When you put all 3 together, you get white. When you're growing plants, when you look at these grow places, whether they're growing tomatoes or marijuana, they're going to have a purple light. Why purple? Doesn't make any sense. Why purple? Why are grow lights purple? Well, they're purple because purple is what you get when you take green out of white. Any green light that you put into a grow room or an area where you're growing something is a waste. In fact, you can put green light in there all the time, even during dark cycle, and the plants don't even see it. So all you need is the red and the blue to grow. So that means that when you're growing with LED light, you basically use 50% blue and 50% red. Some plants, depending on what you're growing, you would alter the amount of blue or red to stimulate a growth cycle or a reproductive cycle. It's really cool, the science of growing things. I always thought it was cool, but never actually got into it myself. But I do think that it's neat. The lighting, what's become so neat about LED lighting in the old days, and another thing is the reason that they can't seem to catch the grow houses anymore. The only reason they used to catch the grow houses was high electric bills and big heat signatures. Well, guess what? LED lights don't put out heat signatures. They're almost there's a little bit of heat where the transformer is or whatever, but that's it. So they don't put out any large amount of heat. Number 2, they don't burn a lot of electricity. So you can grow in an entire house and still only be using the average amount of electricity for a 3-person family. So these 2 things have made it to where the two things that made it as cops made it easier for us to find grow houses back then was the power bill and the heat plume. And guess what? Don't have those anymore. Those have been negated by LED lights. But then again, most places marijuana is somewhat legal or all the way legal now, so it doesn't really matter anymore anyway. There you go. There you go. Your rooster, Earl Grey. Yeah, I wanted to call. We named one cat John Luke, and he went and got run over. So Carlotta said no more Star Trek names for cats. I don't think that's fair. What do you think, Ed? You think that's fair? Huh? You think that's fair? He's such a good cat. All right. What's great about LED is you can burn 60 watts of electricity and you get the equivalent of 600 watts of light. That's just an amazing up Yes, deploribus. I actually did. I did that in a segment in the show about 3 weeks ago. Are your streetlights turning purple? And I explained to everybody with a bunch of images and diagrams what actually is happening. The piece of phosphorescent material that they stretch over the LED blue light bulb is breaking down over time. And as that coating, that phosphorescent coating, breaks down on the outside of the LED bulb, as that happens, the blue shines through and it doesn't have any phosphorescent material there to make up the rest of the spectrum. And so what you end up with is blue streetlights. We had a whole row of them here. I think they've replaced them now. We had a whole row of them here on Colonial Boulevard that literally were deep ass purple. We used to joke around and call it Halloween Road and shit like that because it looked like a horror flick driving down. And when the fog was setting, it was funny because the side streets had orange lights and the main road had purple lights, and all the businesses had these whitish blue lights. It was really weird at night in the fog. It was almost like in the 70s being in a skating rink where they allowed smoking. Anyway, the point is it was weird. They're slowly replacing them, but they'll happen. What it is, I want to tell you guys real quick what it is, and then I'm going to sign off. When they make a bulb, they tell you this bulb's good for 100,000 hours. How do they know that? How do they know that? They only invented the thing 30,000 hours ago. So, I mean, how do we know it's going to last 100,000 hours? We really don't. You can stress test a bulb by running higher voltage through it and then using math to figure out how long it would have lasted under a normal load, things like that. But for the most part, there's no way to accurately bench test or operationally test a light over the period of 7 or 10 years. Because by then, the next technology would have already come out and it wouldn't matter anyway. So these lights were not ever able to be tested in real life. So they built them and they put them out and the yellow phosphorescent things wore out. How are we supposed to know that? We couldn't test it ahead of time. You can't turn a light on for 7 years and then at the end of the 7 years go, yep, it worked. You see what I mean? So they literally had to put them out not knowing for sure if it was going to work or not. And some of them worked great and other ones turned purple. But that's the reason why, because it's such a new technology that a lot of this technology has not even been tested through to the end of its life yet. Yes, LED traffic lights are LED. They've been going for years. In fact, I have not seen an incandescent traffic light in Lee County, here where I live, in 5 years. They completed the transition 5 years ago. That is a problem. Up north, in the new traffic lights up there, they're putting wire elements in the traffic light. I saw one of these. I read the paper on one of these, and what they're doing is they run a little thin wire around the outside of the light and through certain parts of the light. And if the sensor in the light detects that it's near freezing, it warms this wire up inside. And so basically, instead of producing heat all year, you only have to produce heat when it's below freezing outside. That's all. And it still saves a lot of money in the long run. It just costs a little more to buy these lights that have the that have the extra wire element in there and the little thermostat and all that. But yeah, that is a problem. Normally in the old days, the light bulbs in the street light would be enough to melt the ice and melt the snow so that you'd be able to see the 3 color elements in there. But yeah, that is a little bit of a problem. But like I said, they have found a solution to it for some of the really hard hit areas up north where it really is bad. They're watching a Star Trek movie right now. That's cool. Yep, I love me some Star Trek. And I don't just like some of it, I like all of it, pretty much. I don't like the cartoon stuff. The cartoon stuff's not real. It's not real Star Trek. But all the regular series have been pretty good. Discovery was okay. Wasn't that what it was? Yeah, Discovery. It was okay. Strange New Worlds has been okay. The last season was pretty bad. The first 2 seasons were okay. But the older Star Trek was all pretty good. Really good. All right, anything else? Last call. I'm heading out. I've been on 2 hours and 21 minutes. Oh, I am so tired. I'm heading in and going to bed. I'm going to go right to bed. I liked Enterprise. Scott Bakula. A great series. It was ended a couple years too early. Hold on, Ed, I'm coming. All right, guys, Ed's telling me I gotta go. Anytime. I love doing the shows. I hope you guys enjoy them. All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off here. It's been my pleasure. Are you on my keyboard somewhere? Because it's doing weird shit. All right, everybody. This is it. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and we've been broadcasting live from North Fort Myers, Florida, over fiber optic to YouTube, the world's largest broadcast platform. This show's called The Sights and Sounds of Earth, and we're on every night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or whenever breaking news happens. Join us right here on Starship Adventures, live from Starship Studios. My name's Ian. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 9 p.m. right here on Starship Adventures. So good night, everybody. 7 3s.